Welcome to the Montreal Forum with your host, Liam Maguire. This broadcast will be coming to you from left to right on your listening device.
Thank you, Dick. Welcome, everybody, to the Dick Irvin, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. That'll never get old. Welcome to another edition of the Montreal Forum. I'm your host, Liam Maguire, part of Habs Cast Nation. And my show is brought to you by Hosey and Brown Automotive. My dear friend Rod Brown here in Ottawa, the region's #1 auto part distributor. And they've been rocking and rolling for nearly 50 years. It'll be 50 years next year, 2026, that Hosey and Brown Automotive started. And thank them very much for their ongoing sponsorship of pretty much anything I hang my hat on. Thank you very much, Rod. So, Hosey and Brown. Thank you, Montreal Canadiens. Oh, my God. These games are killing me, I'll tell you. Third period comeback, man. Utah scores 3 and 4 and change there in the second, and they're going in the third, and you could see the flow changing there, and Adobe fighting off every shot that he could. Just a couple breakdowns on those goals, which is going to happen. Talk a little bit about that maybe here as we dive into the 30 minutes here of the forum. But at the end of the day, huge 2 points. I mean, you're basically keeping up with the Joneses. Pretty much everybody else won in the Atlantic, except for Detroit, I think. But I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? 8 teams separated by 8 points. The Habs right in the middle. The thing is, they've got games in hand on everybody. They have played 22. Everybody else is 23 or higher, or 4 or 5. And so that bodes well, with the exception of their schedule. 15 games between now and Christmas, including 4 back-to-backs, starting with this American Thanksgiving weekend, which everybody's off today, but everybody's going to play in the league in the next 72 hours on Friday and Saturday, and then going forward. And Montreal's got a deadly duo, Vegas, who will be steamed last night. They got absolutely stymied by Linus Ullmark, who looked more reminiscent of the guy 3 years ago as the Bruins set the all-time regular season record before crashing and burning in the playoffs. However, he was exceptional last night, and he stole that game for Ottawa, and they got it done in a shootout. Pinto on a nice move gets it done. And they're going to be steamed, and they're the Habs' next opponent, 4 Eastern, as we know, tomorrow. And then in the Lions' den. I mean, come on. This is starting to get pretty ridiculous what Colorado is doing, and they're waltzing guys. I mean, 6-0 last night. Like, Makar and McKinnon hardly did anything. I think they both got on the score sheet, but, you know, there's not like they're ripping off hat tricks and picking up 3 or 4 points. Yeah, McKinnon's leading the league, and Makar's leading the D. But they get a game like last night, it was like, oh, we'll just roll the guys here. We'll just roll the lines. And that's scary, man. 1 regulation loss. I mean, even the 77 Habs had more than that. Now, you know, there's OT and all the rest of that jazz now. But anyway, at the end of the day, that's who we've got on Saturday at 3 here in these back-to-back afternoons coming up. And then it's Ottawa, Winnipeg next week, another back-to-back. Always have trouble with the Sens, although have won 4 out of the last 5. They're going to see a real Brady will be back. They'll be a really, really tough out. And then the Jets again. So tough schedule coming up. So let's see how it all goes. It's massive to get those 2 points last night, even more so in regulation. Nice to bump up a little bit and get some regulation wins. I'm sure a lot of people check that on the standings as well. It's the first tiebreaker, and it's nice to pick those up, especially with the league at an all-time high for playing extra time games, whether it be OT or shootouts. So it was great to see. Suzuki picks up his 400th career point. What a captain. I mean, I remember when he got named, and a lot of talk about it because of his age and anything, not because he was anywhere near close to the youngest in NHL history. There's all sorts of guys ahead of him in that category. But in Montreal, that was pretty amazing, right? Silvio Mantha was the next youngest, and that's going back to the 1920s. So pretty unusual to put a C on somebody in Montreal at that age. And he's just been exemplary. He has been on a steady path of increasing his greatness. I know as the team fell off the rails here in the last 10, 12 days, the first line kind of did as well, kind of, sort of. And they all kind of had some tough goes. And so that's nice to pick up a few points last night. And probably most important of all for Bull Duke to get going on the power play to rekindle here a little bit in the last two games. Man, if you can score some power play goals when you get them in the second and the third period, you're either going to extend leads or get back in games. And it's just so critical. And blowing these 5-on-3s, I mean, you just want to just punch a wall or something with the frustration. And as much as he kind of tailed off, be it last year and getting hurt early this year, you just know if Laine was out there, his shot is basically indefensible on a 5-on-3. He's going to move in either a couple more feet. Hudson dishes it over, bing, bam, boom. And minimally, it's a shot on net because they get outshot every game. So it'd be nice to create a little bit more on those 5-on-3s. They should be almost automatic, and we've really struggled in that. That said, got it going. Power play's going. Got the W. Dobie, I don't know what to say. The guy's clearly number one right now. There's no doubt in my mind, Monty's going to start tomorrow. It's the game you got to give him. You got to go with your best on Colorado, and you got to just hope Monty can find it. He did last year. It took a while. It's been his MO here. His career stats what they are what they are. And you know, I mean, you just got to hope this isn't the Vegas team that won the cup. Well, they dominated Ottawa last night, and they deserved a better fate in terms of probably getting the extra point. That save on the Eichel breakaway. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that game. I want to talk about the Habs, but we got them next, right? So they'll be steamed. It's always a tough place for us, but you know, we know Dobie went in there last year. We know what he did, but Monty's got to get one of these. You're going back to back. That's the way it is in the show, almost exclusively. So that's the way it'll play out. Let's talk about a couple other things. Enstrom plays last night. We had 5 rookies in the lineup last night. So, you know, this isn't a recipe. This isn't the 86 Habs who played off and on with 10 rookies in the lineup. Okay, once in a blue moon. That's the NHL record. So at least to win a cup. And Enstrom, yeah, you know, he played, I think 10:42 to be exact, somewhere just under 11 minutes. It was fairly nondescript. Had a shot on net. Saw some nice things. Saw a few things that, you know, he's never going to be Scott Stevens back there. He's never going to be. Arbor comes out of the lineup. So be it. You know, I mean, Goulet's going to be back here at some point in time. And, you know, so they'll be rerouting some D here. I said, Grant and I, we sparred on this a little earlier to start the season. I think Arbor will be in next game. Would be my not only my choice, but that's my thought. I think he'll play next game, and I think when Goulet's back, they'll go back to just platooning him and Struble is what I think, just based on who are they playing. You got a heavier lineup. You may go Arbor. You got a team that's maybe a little bit more skating. You'll put Struble in. I thought he had a bit of a tough game last night. I thought on their second goal, I think, second or third goal, he had a tough down low. But that's going to happen too. He's basically played pretty decent this year, I think. So you're only going to dress 6. So, you know, they're never going to go, I don't believe anyway, 11-7. So you're going to dress 6. Someone's got to sit. You bring up Enstrom. You want to give him a shot. You gave him a shot. You gave him a decent shot. 10:42. It's not a ton of time. You want to protect him. It's on the road though. And I thought he looked okay. You know, I mean, we're going to see more of him down the road. There's no doubt about it. Since I've last been on, Florian's been in the lineup. Great first game against Toronto. I mean, what a first game against Toronto. It was just so much freaking fun to watch. I know the Leafs are beat up to hell. They stole one last night too against Columbus, scoring late to tie it and then late in OT to win it, Nylander. But Flojo there, Florian had a great first game against the Leafs. And you know, that's the thing about playing him on that fourth line. They were basically a 3-line team last night. Marty trying to play catch up, and then you're trying to play kitty bar the door up 4-3, and that fourth line hardly saw the ice, right? I mean, Davidson played a little over 5 minutes. I feel so bad for the kid. He comes out of Laval. He's 13 games. He scored 9 goals. He's lighting it up. You're not going to do – what are you going to get in 5.5 minutes? He played 9 shifts. Not blaming Marty. Just the configuration of it is that you're to either try and tie a game back up or protect a lead. He's not going to play. Flojo got about 8.5 or so, and Volano was 10 and change because he took some draws. He hasn't looked too bad lately either. Whatever, fourth lines are fourth lines. You get anything out of them, it's a bonus. And I just think Jacky, that's how you really pronounce it, but Jacky, Flojo, he just, he got in a scrum. He was credited with 2 hits. He does more. He looks like he's doing more because he's physical. And the thing will be for him will be improving his foot speed. He got a shot on net last night. Like the guy's got some smarts, man. I know he got cut by the Habs and went down to Laval, and he had a tough start. And Laval was kind of sort of 500 there, and then they kind of took off. And, and he started doing a little bit more when the first call-ups. He got bumped up to the first line there in Laval and played a little better, at least from what I saw. Didn't see any video, but from what I was watching in the stats and stuff. I like the guy. I remember at the start of the year, Grant and I talking about it. I said, he's going to definitely see games. I know I wasn't the only guy to say it, but I really felt he was going to see NHL games. I don't think he looks out of place at all. Like, you want him in this lineup tomorrow against Vegas for sure. And I think Arb will be back, but we'll see what they do. I think Davidson will come out, and we're going to see Texier, if I'm saying that right. The new player they picked up from St. Louis, terminated contract there. We all read what happened. He's got quite the backstory, doesn't he? I mean, this is a kid born, raised, and trained in France. Not a lot of them. And he's drafted out of France hockey, for God's sake. I mean, he lit it up over there. Top-ranked rookie, top-ranked prospect, all the rest of those things before Columbus drafted him. He suffered a bad injury there. Kind of spun his wheels a little bit after. I mean, look, a couple of years ago, he had 30 points in 78 games, 12 goals. It's what he's going to give you right now. But I think veteran presence coming in, got decent size. I know we all saw the little dangle there at the practice, but just to put a guy in, I mean, he's got 240 games of NHL experience. That's huge right now. When you're thinking going these next 2 road games with 5 rookies, they'll take Davidson out more than likely, I would suspect. And we'll see if Enstrom gets another game. If maybe, I don't know. We'll see what Marty and the boys are going to do. But all that to say, we got the win regardless, and it's just a huge W. So it's just crazy in the Atlantic right now. I mean, the only team under 500 in the Atlantic is Buffalo, and every team in the Metropolitan's over 500. Not that dissimilar from where it was just a few weeks ago. So that's Enstrom. I'd say satisfactory. I'd give him a B all day. I'd give him a B. He didn't really hurt himself really in the respect of what he got last night in ice time. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get another shot. Loving Flojo. That's my nickname for him. Loving him in the lineup. Absolutely loving him. I know he's there because of our injuries. I mean, if Newhook and Doc are playing, he's not. But it's showing that when he is going to get a chance, he's good to go. And look, I don't know what they're going to do with Kirby. I mean, the poor son of a bitch. He just can't stay healthy. Another story for another time. But Flojo right now looks like a real solid little component of it. You're going to give him. He played about a minute less than what he did in Toronto. But the Habs are playing with the lead in Toronto. And that's with a fight as well. He had 7 minutes in penalties, and he still played a minute more than last night, which is understandable. You're either playing catch-up or then you're trying to defend a lead. The fourth line isn't going to play. So, you can see very quickly how that's 2 shifts. And he's back to where he played ice time-wise against Toronto. So I think there's some confidence a little bit early here, very early for God's sake, but that you could put him out there and he may not he may not be a liability at this young age of 23, and where he was drafted, how he slotted, everything else. He's Arber's brother. He went 4th round. Everybody had a crack at him, and I don't think he's looked out of place at all. And the Habs right now, again, who among us that have, if you're being perfectly honest with yourself, and you said this was your record at the start of the season, who wouldn't have signed up for that? I would have signed up instantly based on our start the last couple of years. I would have signed up absolutely instantly. So we'll take it. Haven't been great the last couple of weeks, as we know, and coming into just a hellacious schedule. Now, look, everybody's got to go through this. So we're not a team on an island here by any means. So we'll see what happens. Dobie, I love the guy. I just love his compete level. He challenges. He's up at the end of his crease. He loses his net a little bit sometimes, but I don't know what happened in that scramble in that third one. It was a configuration of some mistakes down low, and then he just wasn't in a position to make the save. But man, he was in the third period. He made some beauties, didn't he? He really did. This Utah team, I love their coach, Andre Tourné. I'm talking here from the Ottawa area. Grant's from the Ottawa area. In fact, a lot of us are on Habscast. Eric, we saw Tourné here. We were privileged to see him here with the 67s and some of his international success as well. And I think the guy's a fabulous coach. And we'll see. They play a nice brand of hockey, man. They transition really well. I think they cycle well. They get pucks to the net. They've struggled lately, and they've fallen down from their start. They had an electric start, much like Montreal, really, to be honest. And they've cooled off, much like we have. But I like the brand of hockey they play, and I think they've got an outstanding coaching staff. And I'm a big fan of Andre Tourné. So it's a great win to get, and like I said, especially in regulation. Bolduc getting off the schneid there a little bit, picking up some points, just fantastic. We all saw the vid there, him getting the Fox hat or whatever they call that thing. So, just exceptional stuff from him. If he can get his confidence back and the power play can start moving the puck. Boy, everybody's gone away from the torpedo there, and they're doing the 2-man in. Although I saw Nick kind of taking it himself a couple times more. Maybe that's, you go up and use a decoy, which Lane does a lot of times himself. He'll decoy and go in. How many times have we seen that even recently? My God, he's gotten in alone a few times. I really feel his play is picked up too. He would have had a point on the Slav called off goal there. Would have given him 2 helpers on the night. But, he's pretty consistent. He's still top 10 scoring D, maybe 8th or whatever. And, it's Makar's Norris Trophy to win or lose here. But, I hope he stays around there. We need his offense. We need everything that he brings to the table. He's been just an absolute revelation, hasn't he, in a year and change here with Montreal. So it's just so thankful that we got him. He's just phenomenal to watch, and he's so critically important to the success of the team, because you really need the power play to go. It may not have been realistic to say they could stay at the 27 or 28% they were, but you have got to stay at 20% minimum, I really think, to be a playoff contender. You need those you need to score. Now, they don't get a lot of power plays. That's the thing. I haven't looked at the stats, and I should, and I will before the next show. And in the interim, someone else might bring it up, but how many chances they actually get. It's my sense is they're in the lower part of the league. But like I said, that stat's readily available, of course, and I haven't looked it up. But that said, power play last 2 games has been a whole lot better and has contributed to the success in these last 2 games. So very quickly here, points in a few in a row and a couple W's, really just to keep up in that crazy Atlantic right now. So they, lowest games played and coming into just what's going to be a really tough weekend. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, 15 games between now and Christmas. don't really know too much else to say. There were no fights last night. Really, other than that, there was a lot of other great NHL action, obviously. But like I said, pretty much everybody else in the Atlantic won. Cooley is really coming into his own. Oh my God. Man, he is dangerous every time. When you see a guy cut across the blue line, and we really only first saw this as fans with Gretzky. I never saw anybody. Now, I was 20 when Wayne started, so my experience of watching hockey only went back to, I can't say what I watched at 6 and 7 or 8 was I was really digesting how guys were playing on the ice. Probably by the time I was 13 or 14, I was taking a look at how guys could control play because active minor hockey league player myself, you try to emulate those stars. I don't remember anybody before Wayne going into the offensive zone and going laterally. Either way, maintaining the puck, head up, looking to dish, and so expertly and really in a lot of cases unbelievably finding guys. And I saw Cooley do that on a few shifts last night, man. He went in and button hooked basically inside the line. And, it's in the old days, they called it the trolley tracks. And you want to make sure you had your head up, conjures up the Marty McSorley on Doug Gilmour in 93, among many others. Some of Scott Stevens' best hit, the one that hit Lindros, that Scott Stevens hit was one of those right over the blue line, Eric, with his head down. So, but Cooley looked good last night doing it, boy. He has found another gear as well. And it's obviously been a lot of comparison, right, with Slav and you can see that Cooley's going to another level here offensively. It's too bad. I think Slav could have used that goal. I've seen a lot of chatter online, trying to figure out, he's still so freaking young on where he's going to slot in. He's such a big body. And I've seen so many great examples of his play down low where he seems to be getting more comfortable using that body. I just don't know on the power play. I mean, it's clicking again here right now, but it did seem like he was a little bit more in traffic, which I think with his body size and where he's most effective, if you've got Cole and Nick and Lane out there, you've got your puck controllers and distributors. Slav should never be that. And I think sometimes that's where we've run into trouble here during our little slump there. And when the power play went really dry and Marty's trying to find something, Slav has to bear some responsibility, not singularly, that's for sure. Everybody else was struggling too, to be perfectly fair. But when he's the most effective if he can sneak into the bumper or if he goes to the front of the net, the bumper's just off, right? The slot, you're screening, you're battling, and maybe you pick up some garbage. But I think he's got to be really I don't really want to see him as a distributor. I got no problem. I scream at the TV. We all do, right? I scream. Where's the fire? Working around the perimeter. I am so enamored with Lane as the quarterback. Let him decide as to when to thrust, dish, give and go, move, get everybody moving. That's one thing I love about Hudson, when he'll get it and he moves. The box has to move to some degree. Whatever defensive schematic they're using, they have to move to some degree. Because if you give Lane enough room, he'll go right into the slot and take a shot. And he's been doing it more frequently, which is why he's going to score more goals this year than he did last year, which is understandable. It's year 2, and it's just going to be a beauty his entire career. But I don't want Slav handling the puck on the power play as little as possible. Just, if you get it, buddy, dish it, and then just go get in the way. Or if they can work that quick bumper. And it's not something that anybody does with real success. Reason being that everybody's on the defense sticks are way too active and have been for almost a generation now. That is probably one of the biggest changes from when I was a kid watching hockey in the forget the late 60s, too young, but in the 70s, that decade. I start that decade at 11 and I finish it at 21. Grew up that decade. Watching hockey then, the penalty killing was not anywhere near close to what it is today. Yet you had guys who did very well. Derek Sanderson and Eddie Westfall, or Dave Keon in Toronto, and then along came Bob Gainey and Doug Jarvis in Montreal, and others. Billy Barber in Philly, and just some other really solid penalty kill specialists. But in terms of the box and the schematics and the schemes, the sticks weren't as active. Guys would block shots, but it was much more static. So what I hate is the cross crease, is trying to get a puck through a seam, and it just fails 80% of the time. So if you're going to go into that golden area, the slot area, it's got to be on a bumper play. Otherwise, it's a shot from moving in off the point and you've got traffic, or it's coming from a dish and it's Cole on a one-timer, or as we saw last night, Bull Duke. I mean, great shot. He was out a little far, really, but I mean, hey, got good wood on it, found a hole, got a goal, and probably had his best game since he got promoted to the first line and they made that switch. So the other thing is interesting, right? You got Slav now on that different line, and I saw it last night. We all did. If you're watching the broadcast, and his metrics were a little bit better across the board. So again, I don't follow that stuff too much. I'm kind of boots on the ground eyeball test, but I know those numbers mean something, and I think what it resonates with me too, watching every minute of every game that I can, if I'm not working, is his play has been a little bit better. It really has, and that's why it's a shame that that goal got called back last night. But even just before we started the show here today, Grant and I talking, I mean, how big was that scoring on the same power play where you have a goal disallowed? Massive. And then I'll finish on this note, and then a couple of things on Hab history. Demidov, who continues to lead all rookie in scoring. What a shot. Oh, my God. But you can see one of the reasons in tight games why his minutes are going to be down. And they were last night. I mean, not by much compared to what he's getting, but we all want to see him play more. But when he carries the puck through the neutral zone and he hits that blue line and tries to make a move, Marty is going to absolutely just lose his mind. Any coach would. If I was coaching my son, I'd be losing my mind if anybody on the team did that. Get that puck in deep. Those are killer turnovers. Saw it with Gallagher last night too. Really bad turnover, right? Balduke got lucky. Almost gave that one away before we scored. You've got to make the right play. Like, it's hard. You're going to make mistakes. It's a game of mistakes. But when you can control certain things, you can't throw it up the middle in your own end. You can't go cross ice in the neutral zone. Like, you've got to do things to at least give yourself a chance to not make the blatant error. If you're going to make it down low, so they got to come 200 feet. So when I saw Demidov make that move and lose that puck, I just went, oh, Jesus. So I'm pretty sure Marty did too. But then 3 minutes later, he comes back and just rips that wrist shot inside the post. Turns out to be the game winner. Oh, my God. We are so lucky to have him. He's just a gem. So, big things ahead. Let's see how we do here. I'll tell you right now, if you gave me 2 points, and let's just go to Sunday, forget about it. See who's on the NFL. I mean, it's going to be a really, really tough 2 games. You're going to get a really pissed off Vegas team, and then you're going in against I don't even know what to call the Avalanche right now. I mean, it's just I can't wait to watch it, because I really think we're going to get up for it. I really do. I think whatever we can have in the lineup, missing Newhook, who was playing so well, and to a degree, Doc, who was playing pretty well too when he got hurt. We're going to have some rookies, and we're playing a hell of a team, but I'm looking forward to both these games. Anyway, that's the Montreal Forum. Let's stay in hockey. Habs. Well, it's Pierre Mondou's birthday. I don't know if anybody remembers Pierre Mondou. He was a really solid two-way centerman for the Habs in the late 70s. He was drafted in 75. I believe he was a first-round pick. He came up to the Habs. He didn't go and get number 6 right away. Jimmy Roberts had just had it. He had 24 briefly, and then he went to 6, the number where we got to know and love him in. He came up in the playoffs there in 77. So I think he got his name on the cup because I think he played a game in the final that year against Boston. And then he was a regular in 78 and 79. So he's got 3 Stanley Cups. He was a beauty. You know, he came out of, he was traded in junior from Sorel to the Montreal Juniors. They had come back. They were out. They came back in. They were no longer the Montreal Junior Canadiens. They were called the Montreal Red, White, and Blue. Really original name. And he got picked up for the playoff run. Didn't go very far. They lost to Laval in the second round in 75 because Laval had this 17-year-old kid named Mike Bossy who was just absolutely shooting BBs. I mean, he had, imagine Bossy played 4 full years of junior and had 4 70-goal seasons in junior. Just sick. But Mondou was in Sorel for 3 years before he got traded to the Montreal Red, White, and Blue. And in that second year in Sorel, like he played with Lucien Deblois, who's a very, very good friend of mine. And I've talked to Luch about this. You guys probably are somewhat aware of what it was like in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League in the 1970s. What I'm about to tell you is going to seem absolutely impossible, but it's true. Sorel in 1974, the team that Pierre Mondou was on, and it's his birthday today. He's 69 today. That's why we're talking about Pierre. They had 7 100-point scorers, 7, of which Pierre was 1. He had 119 points. They had 3 guys in the regular season with 200 or more points. I mean, come on. One of them was Pierre LaRouche. So that's okay. You know, went on to have a pretty good career. Michel Dezille and Jacques Cossette. They scored 97, 95, and 92 goals, respectively. 3 guys with 200 points. It's never happened. I mean, it's insane. Absolutely insane. Anyway, Mondou comes up, really fills out the roster nicely. You know, I loved what Scotty did. Look what we're talking about right now at the Habs, right? 5 rookies. Marty, of course, Scotty Bowman here. Who knows where Marty, whatever happens right down the road. But Scotty in 77, well established. 77, late 70s Montreal. He started with St. Louis in the expansion as their head coach before coming to the Habs. And he broke Mondou in, He had him riding the bench. And what he was doing was he would platoon him in for Doug Risebrough on that line with Mario Tremblay and Yvon Lambert. And early in the season, in 77, 78, Pierre got his first goal against Minnesota. It was Yvon Lambert and Mario Tremblay who assisted it. Doug Risebrough scored in that game as well. They beat Minnesota. Fleur had a couple. Cornway scored, usual. But that's what Scotty did with Mondou. He platooned him in until he was ready to take a full shift, and it was just great. He came in. I know he's a very popular teammate, and he played. He got hurt against Hartford in '85 by my pick anyway, as one of the most hated guys in hockey history. I absolutely despised him then, and I still do. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Not going to be a hypocrite. Ulf Samuelsson can go to hell. He ended careers, and he did it. He before there was Matt Cook. There was Ulf Samuelsson, and he stuck Mondou in the eye, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. It was 100% deliberate to stick him in the face, and it ended Mondou's career. I was at many games at the Montreal Forum in those years, including that playoff series, and when Mondou got hurt, and I thought the world of him as a player. That's a pretty quick career, man. That was over in a heartbeat. Came up in 77, and he was done in the mid 80s there. So think he got 10 years in, or a little less, maybe 9, somewhere around there. So it's his birthday today. Only other thing, I'll finish on this note. This is really just but it's kind of neat. The Montreal Canadiens hold the NHL record still for the most consecutive, the longest undefeated streak on the road. They still hold that record. 23 consecutive games without a loss on the road in 74-75. Ironically, not a season in which they won the cup, which is kind of neat, isn't it? It was Dryden's year back after his sabbatical, and Lafleur had just emerged as a power, and you guys know the rest. But interestingly, the team in second place is Montreal with 18, but they're 5 behind. The reason I'm saying it is their 23-game undefeated streak started on this day. It was a Wednesday. I remember it well. November 27, 1974. They beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that started this 23-game undefeated streak, which is still an NHL record. Just to put it in context, just in the last couple of years, we've had the LA Kings, Colorado, Florida. They've gone on 11, 12-game runs, which is pretty damn good, because there's no ties. Montreal in 74-75 were 14-0-9. So they had 9 ties. Would they have won all of those with overtime and a shootout? No. Would they have won the majority? Yeah, they would have, for sure. Look at that team that was just burgeoning then, as we've said for years. Can you imagine 3-on-3 overtime with Lafleur, Robinson, and Lemaire or Cornway? And then, my God, throwing out whoever you want next. Steve Shutt. I mean, it's crazy, right? Pete Mahovlich. You've got so many options. Serge Savard, Gila Point, just crazy. And the Edmonton Oilers would like to have a say in that too. That's okay. Hockey goes on, things change, rules change, and whoever has the most, who's ever done the most. By the way, I'll finish on this note. Got to give a shout out to Gordie Howe too, because he has a pretty neat thing on November 27th. He got his 1,000th point in the NHL on November 27th, 1960. On November 27th, 1965, he scored his 600th goal. And what else did he do? On November 27th, 1969, he got his 1,700th point, 1,700 point, which was, he was the first to do it, obviously. Wayne eclipsed all of this, as we know. But at the time, the fact he did all those, his 1,000th point was against the Leafs. It came in a victory. His 600th goal was against the Habs, came in a loss. And his 1,700th point, I think, was against Pittsburgh. I'm not positive. So the fact I don't know is as good a point as any to sign her off. Go Habs, go. Let's get her done. Pick up a couple points here. Scrape, claw, scratch, fight like hell. I think Monty will start tomorrow. Dobie against the powerhouse there on Saturday. Couple afternoon tilts. I'll be at Liam Maguire's if you're in the Ottawa area. Going there today, going there tomorrow. You won't see this today in time, but tomorrow I'll be at Liam's for the game at 4 o'clock against Vegas. American Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to my American friends in the South. Anybody who watches this, and thank you, Grant, for producing. Welcome, everybody, again, and thank you for watching the Montreal Forum with Liam Maguire, brought to you by Hosey and Brown Automotive. And until next week, we'll talk to you.